All right, thanks for being here, and we appreciate you covering Wake Forest football, our program. Going to wrap up Virginia first. A really good road win. Anytime you can go on the road in this league and get a conference win. There's a lot of concerns about Virginia going into the game. The short week is always concerning. I think anytime you have a short week, if you can get your team there fresh, and that's always a fine balance of doing enough to prepare, but also having your football team fresh. And I thought our guys came out ready to play. We had good energy, and I thought it showed up in all three facets. Offensively, we were very efficient. I love that we didn't turn the ball over. We converted third downs, we converted fourth downs. We made a lot of clutch plays. I thought we had great balance. The offensive line played extremely well. All three backs, I thought, ran the ball hard. Taylor Marin had a big play. Atorian continues to play well. Jaquari, I thought is, to me, starting to get back into the flow as we're hitting those outside guys. Things are opening up a little bit in the middle for him. I thought both of our tight ends played well. And it was just a really pretty clean offensive performance. Defensively, we gave up some yards. We gave up some third down conversions. But our red zone defense was excellent. It was very much bend but don't break. And, with the type of points and yardage and production and talent level that Virginia had, to me, we were in the right place at the right time. And I loved the pressure we got. I thought our defensive staff did a good job of coming up with some pressures. And then Luke Masterson did a great job blitzing. I thought Luigi probably had his best game as a Deacon. Ja'Cory Johns continues to get better. And just overall, we got very good pressure. So we got them off schedule enough. And then, obviously the two turnovers in the fourth quarter were really big. Ryan Smenda had a great strip. It was recovered by Malik Mustafa. And then the pick by Covey Davis, really never any chance they had of getting back into the game. The turnovers really kept it as a three-score lead. So as always, we've got to turn the page. We play a very talented Louisville team. It seems like no matter where I go, that I end up running into Coach Satterfield. From coaching at him against Richmond in the playoffs when he was the offensive coordinator at App. My first year at Bowling Green, he was the co-offensive coordinator, pass game coordinator at Toledo, and then coaching him against him when he was the head coach at App, and now 3 years in a row at Louisville. And he does a great job. He's a good head coach. He's an excellent offensive strategist. He's got a very unique offense, and he knows it inside out. It's very much a systematic offense that they have a way of creating numbers and leverage. And then if you cheat it, he knows the answers. So he'll come out and he'll probe you with different formations and motions. And then once he figures out what you're doing, he has you. And he makes in-game adjustments as well as anybody, and he knows his system, and they execute it really well. It begins with the quarterback. Malik Cunningham, I think, has become one of the premier quarterbacks in the ACC and all of college football. And he's become a really good, accurate passer. He can beat you with his feet. He's always been able to do that. He's their leading rusher. But he also does a great job in their drop back game, their play action game, getting him on the boot game. He's really dangerous. He's a pure run pass threat every time he gets on the edge. Mitchell is a big back that a year ago had 168 yards against us. He's 220 pounds. He's a good downhill runner. He's a guy that if he has a vertical crease, he'll take it. And that combination of him and Cunningham with the zone reads, if you don't close on Mitchell, the thing's getting downhill in a hurry. But if you close on them, now you've got Cunningham on the edge, and then they've got a whole series of bootlegs and nakeds off of it that make it very difficult to defend. I think Marshawn Ford is one of the best tight ends in the ACC. They play him everywhere. They play him as a fullback, a tight end, a slot receiver, an outside receiver. And their offensive line has always been big and physical, and in their zone running game, they do a great job of covering people up and then hitting seams. Defensively, they're very experienced. Clark, the corner, who was a transfer from Liberty, I think he's got 3 picks already on the year. C.J. Avery, their middle linebacker, has started 34 games. He's a very, very productive, high-motor player that knows their defense inside and out. The Abdullah off the edge is a real elite pass rusher. Yahya Dabi, the field end, is, it's that perfect complement. They've got a guy with a ton of twitch, and then they have a guy that's strong and holds the point of attack, and he's a good bull rusher. And again, we have a lot of respect for them, and it's always been a tough game for us. So we look forward to it. It's great to be back at home. I hope we can get our students back out in full force. Between ODU and Florida State, those are the 2 best student crowds that I've ever seen here, and hopefully this week we can do that again and exceed it. And I hope Deacon Nation comes out, and we need them. That we need to have a home field advantage against a very good football team that, if you really take away their first half of football against Ole Miss, they're pretty clean. The Ole Miss, they were down 26-0 at the half. After that, they settled in. They won the second half, and they haven't lost since. So, again, this is a very good, very talented, very well-coached football program, and this will be a very challenging game for us. So with that, I'll open it up.
I know the overarching goal with depth is to make it to November with depth, but to be able to have the defensive performance against Virginia without Nasir and without Miles, is that kind of just coming to fruition, one of the overarching season goals?
Well, we still got to get to November, but it's a good point, Connor. Like, to not have Nasir Greer or Miles Fox, I don't think we could have survived that ever in the past. And not only did we not have Nasir, then Evan Slocum got hurt. And then Nick Anderson had the wind knocked out of him. And then we're putting in Malik Mustafa, and we're still in good shape. And you have Miles Fox now to be able to play, but Tyler Williams comes back, and you still have Deion Bergen and Suleiman Kamara and Tyler Williams and Kevin Pointer and Justin Williams. And, that was a game that we played 90 defensive plays. I don't think we had a guy on defense play more than 62 plays, and the majority of them didn't play more than 50. And that was the goal going into the season, that we're rotating 4 linebackers, we're playing 4 corners, we're playing 5 or 6 safeties, we're playing 5 defensive tackles, 4 defensive ends, and we just got to continue to do it. And again, if we hadn't done that, I don't know if we find a way to win the Virginia game. But when Nick Anderson goes in, who's played, or Evan Slocum, who's played, or even Malik, who's played, you're not sticking them out there against Brendan Armstrong for the first time ever in an ACC football game.
We're off the defensive point. Like, you guys are shifting from a team that was very dedicated passing the ball to a team now that's going to be super dedicated establishing the run. And I wonder if there's a thing or two you mark onto the defense this week as far as maybe the drasticness of the offenses.
I mean, they're still explosive offenses. They get their explosives in different ways. The thing that's so challenging about Virginia was just the multiple passing game, all the different formations and sets, and the skill of the wide receivers, and that's how they got their explosives. And then Armstrong, is so athletic, and he's hard to tackle, and he can scramble around. And some of the plays he made in the game, the last touchdown pass he threw was a dart on the run. Now it's a different challenge, but it's the same goal of not allowing the explosives. With these guys, if you misfit a run, you're not giving up 5 yards, you're giving up 50 yards. And with all the different tight ends and fullbacks and cluster formations and bunch formations and squeeze formations, their ability to get 5 or 6 guys to either side of the field, and making sure your eyes are in the right place. And then at the same time, if they can get their quarterback on the edge and you miss a tackle, it could be a 40-yard play. And so it's the same thing, is you need to limit the explosive plays. And once they get in the red zone, they're deadly. Their red zone efficiency is so good. They come up with a different plan, a little tweak on the red zone every year, and once they get down there, they're really hard to stop. So, again, the end goal is the same, obviously, to keep them out of the end zone and limit the explosives. But the emphasis of how we do that this week is a completely different challenge than a week ago. Like last week, the amount of empty formations, and like I said, I want to say Virginia played almost a quarter of the games without even having a running back in the backfield. And now you're going against a team that's so committed to running the ball, and multiple tight ends and personnel groups and position flexibility, and they're using their slots to run the jet sweeps and as the option pitchers, and their tight ends can line up anywhere. These two offenses back to back. Our defensive staff isn't getting a lot of sleep.
David, the experienced leadership you have basically comes from the time you most out the ball. Do you need confidence? Do you talk to the team about not having a letdown, having gotten to the top 25, and then all of a sudden Louisville's coming to town? Do you talk to the team about not letting 2019 happen all over again, or does your leadership kind of do that for you?
No, we've been here before. We've been 4-0 4 out of the last 6 years. And how do you want to finish? And I believe this team is capable of finishing stronger than the 16, 17, or 19 team, but you've got to prove it week to week on the field. So in football, you're always a week away from humility. So it's, this is a team that, we played them last year up there, and they got after us pretty good. And 2 years ago, you put on the film, and we had a pretty good team then. At the end of the first quarter, it was 28-7. So they know that.
Andrew on the Zoom, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, Dave, hey, this is Andrew Carter in Raleigh. I know I might look a little bit weird as a face on.
You're welcome to come to Winston and join us live.
No, I should have done that, I know. I'm curious, how much of a bonus is it to have so many so-called super seniors, quote-unquote, back there? I think Will told me earlier that you have 9 of those guys.
We have 9, only 7 are playing.
Obviously, that brings you guys an element of maturity and experience. I'm wondering, just big picture-wise, if you could speak to the advantages of that overall this season.
Well, you have 7 really good players who are good leaders and mature and committed that are on your football team that you otherwise wouldn't have. And if you add 2 or 3 players like that, it helps your football team. We've added 7. On offense to have Donald Stewart, who's playing a lot, and to have Brandon Chapman, who's a 2-time captain and a starter for us. That's invaluable. But on the defensive side of the ball, where you have Miles Fox, Suleiman Kamara, Luke Masterson, Jasir Taylor, and Travion Red, all those guys are starters. So that's close to half your defense that you don't have to replace. And that's allowed us to have depth, and that's always been our challenge here. So it helps a lot. We're not the only team that has a bunch of super seniors back, but certainly at Wake Forest, the way that we try to redshirt our freshmen, to have 7 additional players that are good players and good people and good leaders helps us tremendously. It was a group conversation. It was a group conversation. We want you all back. So, and I told them if they came back, we'd love to have them. But they needed to be here for off-season workouts. I just told them that we would not make them go live in spring football, that they wouldn't have to tackle, that we'd do everything to make sure to keep them healthy. So those guys, none of those guys scrimmaged in the spring. I just, a lot of those guys the 6-year guys had injuries, and, that we wanted to do everything we can to get them to the dance. But all those guys, again, there wasn't a lot of recruiting. They wanted to come back. And I think a lot of it had to do with they did not want 2020 COVID, no fans in the stands, all the different cancellations to be their last experience playing football.
Thank you, Dave. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Looking big picture, Clemson has had a stranglehold on the Atlantic for some time. What was your reaction to seeing the game in Raleigh? I know you don't have those teams on the schedule until November.
What other game was on when Clemson and NC State were playing? Yeah. Which game do you think I was watching? So, it's, you start a season with all these goals and all these things you want to accomplish, and the only way you end up accomplishing them if you take care of your own business. So we don't talk about that at all. We're getting ready for the next game. And to me, I'm more worried about our own cycle. If it was a great win at Virginia, we could enjoy it a little bit longer because, we gave them Saturday off and we came back Sunday, and it's turned the page. And in this league, in this conference, there's enough good players and good coaches that, people can get problems fixed by November, or good teams can get injured and not be the same team. And it's a week-to-week challenge. So we just call it every week it's its own season. It has its own challenges in terms of the opponent, our internal challenges, whether it be injuries or dealing with playing time or different roles. And every week you're just trying to put the puzzle back together.
It was just a third of the way through the season, but has the transition from Luke Masterson to linebacker gone about as well as it possibly could have at this point?
What would be your guess? I mean, Luke's an excellent football player, and we've wanted to move him there for 2 years. And when we moved him there during the Florida State game a few years ago, and he had 18 tackles, and then we could never stay healthy at safety. We tried to move him to Rover, and then Nasir got hurt, or Kobe got hurt, or Trey Rucker was out with a foot injury, and we've known for 2 years that was his best position. And that was part of the conversation with him coming back is gain the weight, you're a linebacker, we're not moving you back. I mean, he's extremely productive, he's smart, he's instinctual. I wish we could have played him there the last 2 or 3 years.
Once again, we're only a third of the way through the season, but is linebacker probably your most improved group from last year?
I don't know. I think we're a lot better at safety, and we're a lot better in the secondary. I think our whole defensive perimeter is better. So, I think our whole defense is better. Ja'Cory Johns is playing his best football. Luigi has really added something to our team in terms of a guy that can rush the passer. Did you see 2 of his pass rushes the other day? Having Rondell Bothroyd healthy, playing end, and then Jasheen Davis. And then just the depth we have inside. It's hard to pick out a position. It really is. You just think of what we have at safety and now what we have at corner. So I just think across the board on defense, we're better. But there's a lot of challenges ahead. We just faced a team that's all spread out. And now we got to face a team that is tighter formations and fitting gaps. And this is a week that our secondary is going to have to tackle. It's the nature of what they do. They block down and they'll wind things back, and they get a big back, and they force your safeties and your corners to tackle. So the mark of a good defense is to be able to handle different challenges.
We were talking to Blake Whitehart in here, about 20 minutes ago. It sounds like kind of a journey of a guy growing up, waiting his turn, and now he's kind of getting scored his first touchdown on Friday.
That was his first touchdown?
Wasn't it? Yeah.
Was it? I didn't even know that. So, I mean, he's a really good athlete. He played lacrosse most of his life, and I think got to football a little bit later, but he was a guy that was around the corner. And again, another a little bit under the radar. We liked him. We thought he was athletic. We thought he had a skill set that fit our offense. You know, when he got here, it was a little bit of a rough transition for him, but he continued to work and improve and get stronger in the weight room. And I mean, we split. We have 2 starting tight ends. You know, we go into every game, and you know, we split the game between Chap and Blake, and that's another position of. You know, now, you know, we're running a lot more 2 tight ends this year too because of those guys. So that they both played 40, 50 plays last week. But he's come along. He's developed really well. I think he's capable of even becoming better. But he's a very good athlete who, in our weight room and in our strength and conditioning program, has developed strength. And because of that, I think he's a much more confident blocker than he was a year ago or 2 years ago.
Seems like he has 4 out of 5 kickoffs that are really good, and then that one bad one is when he goes out of bounds.
I mean, he's got our strongest leg, so I mean, there's not other options. So it's frustrating. It's happened too much. His good ones are really good, but you know, we're giving teams the ball at the 35-yard line too often. You know, and especially after kicking that field goal at the end of the half. You know, to give Virginia's offense a minute 20 and the ball in the 35, that was not a good feeling.
Do you not want Nick doing it because he doesn't have a strong enough leg, or because it will wear his leg down?
It wears his leg down. That, you know, I almost find, you know, you know, I've been doing this 33 years, and it just kind of struck me this year that if you're good on offense, you probably don't want your field goal kicker being your kickoff guy, right? And so it's almost better to have your punter be your kickoff guy, because if you're bad on offense, right, Alex Canal set an NCAA record for the amount of punts. But our kickoff guy those years was really fresh. You know, so to me, it's almost like that's the control. If you're good, you're going to kick off a lot. If you're bad, you're going to punt a lot. The chance of wearing that guy out is a lot less than, you know, like Mike Weaver. I mean, his leg got worn out at the end of the year. And so we've really wanted to have the field goal kicker separate from the kickoff guy. And, I mean, Nick arguably is, you know, maybe the greatest kicker in college football history right now. And so do I really want to take a chance and wear out his leg with as many points as we're scoring? So, you know, to me, if I would do that, not that he's capable, he's certainly capable of it, you know, but what unintended impact would that have on our field goals? But that struck me this year, like your kickoff guy and your punter, they're never going to be tired together. And it took me 33 years to figure that out.
I thought you were going to be sarcastic with 33 years.
No, really, it was just like, you know what, this makes sense, because, you know, when we first got here, Alex Canal didn't get worn out because he didn't kick off. But he punted, you know, 15 times a game. And now our kickoff guy, this is a better problem. But we're not punting a lot, so Ivan's got to get better at it. All right, thanks. Good to see you.